Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to Intersect, where DoD, academia, and industry meet. Our topic today is teaming data science and causal inference. My name is Shane McGraw, outreach team lead here at the Software Engineering Institute. And my featured guest today is Bob Stoddard. Bob is the initiative lead for the Software Engineering Measurement and Analysis Group here at the Software Engineering Institute. Welcome, Bob. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Shane, and I'm excited to talk about the 3 data science causal inference positions we have open.
Terrific. So as we mentioned, you lead the software engineering measurement and analysis team here at the SEI. What is the mission or goal for this particular group?
So this team's been around for a long time, way before my time. It started out and it continues to be, I consider, the SEI Center of Excellence in Measurement and Decision Science. And so we're focused on data-driven decisions. We call it actionable science. But we also want to transition measurement and decision science practices within SEI research and external customer projects. So we remain collaborative across the SEI, and so we have partnerships and reachbacks to SEI experts.
Great. So we call this show Intersect, Bob, where DoD, academia, and industry meet. So really, you are our ideal guest. You came to the SEI from industry. I know you had a number of years at Motorola and Texas Instruments. You have military experience. So what was the transition like for you for each of those, from one, the military into industry, from industry to the SEI? And I know you've been with us for quite a few years, but can you kind of elaborate on what that transition was like for you?
So yeah, I started in the Army, fell in love with software, and started writing the first automation at Fort Riley, Kansas for all their finance and check writing. And that really gave me a lot of excitement about what you can do with software. And so started justifying additional software and computers there. Couldn't get enough of that. So I joined Texas Instruments in the mid 80s and started working there in the defense business and quality and reliability in Six Sigma. And then joined Motorola in the cell phone business, and was there for about 7 years applying those techniques. I did have a unique experience with SEI because in the mid 90s at Texas Instruments, I was very happy to be able to do a 2-year resident affiliate assignment, moved my family to Pittsburgh, and was able to work with Dave Zubro and the SEMA team and get exposure to a lot of modern topics and take it back and share it with TI. And then that was followed when I went to Motorola. I was a 2-year resident affiliate in the early 2000s from Motorola University, and was able to help create some of the first Six Sigma training here at the SEI. So I joined the SEI in 2005. So that's really now been the second half of my career. But I was seeking greater access to leading research and enabling greater innovation to industry based on the latest research. So for me, in the industry, I enjoyed it, had a lot of responsibility, but I found that, there's a lot of pressure to have weekly and monthly shipping of products. I was a director of quality, and so anyway, they call that a lot of red team activity where you're meeting a lot of firefighting type demands. And so coming to the SEI really offered a better blend of that, and actually maybe a greater amount of what industry calls blue team activity, looking out in the future, trying to bring in innovation and make the organization more successful in the future. So for me, SEI was a natural fit, and I really did enjoy the transition.
Terrific. What was the move like to Pittsburgh? So you had mentioned you were a resident affiliate. What was it? Having a family at the time, was it a big deal to move to Pittsburgh, or was that something you guys were on board for without coaxing?
The kids were young and weren't always excited about us moving. But my wife and I are from northern Maine, and we're used to cold weather. And for my kids, the transition was softened because they're big into soccer in Dallas. They played year round. So when they came up and were playing with their same age level here in Pittsburgh, with kids that only got to practice during the summers,
Right.
My kids were like heads and shoulder above them in capability. So they ended up enjoying it.
Great. So let's get to the topic for today. So How do you see, and this is a two-part question, how do you see data science helping SEMA, and how does this all fit with causal inference?
Okay, so the SEMA team has a long tradition in goal-directed measurement, doing analytics studies, a lot of descriptive statistics, I would call it. And we did a lot of that plus measurement training years ago for SEMA My High Maturity and our Six Sigma for software engineers. In the past 8 to 9 years, we've really had a pivot, and the SEMA team has broadened the toolkit and focus to really the data science landscape and maybe even beyond that. So, we're really venturing into, different forms of predictive and diagnostic modeling. We use Bayesian probabilistic modeling when it meets a need, discrete and dynamic simulation modeling. We've done a lot with just supervised and unsupervised machine learning with a number of DoD customers. And most recently, the past 6 years, we've really immersed in modern causal inference and causal learning. And when I refer to causal learning, it's really, there's two parts of that landscape. There's causal search and causal estimation. And I'm very fortunate that I am at CMU because the world's leaders in the past decades have worked in causal search, where you can actually look at a data set and end up creating a structural causal model, a directed acyclic graph, is really the expertise is right here at CMU in the Department of Philosophy, and they're world recognized for their work on that. On the causal estimation side, because of our position here as a research institute, we've engaged with Dr. Judea Pearl out at UCLA, and then his protege, Dr. Berenbaum, now at Columbia University. And so we're really using their background in causal estimation to start quantifying causal effects, answer counterfactual questions, and let people see the actual cause and effect going on in data. We're excited about this technology because we've revisited a number of historical research projects and publications, and they've claimed a lot of things were statistically significant. And we're actually showing that about 80% of published statistical significant correlation is really spurious. Only 20% has a causal basis. So that's really eye-opening, and I think it's going to be a game changer in the area of research and for industry. Right now, not a lot of folks know about it because it's mostly used for cancer research and in social policy for the government, but I think we're the leaders in bringing this into the field of engineering. If one wants to look at this in an introductory way, Dr. Pearl's recent book, The Book of Why, is a great first read in all of this. We enjoy working with Dr. Berenbaum, Columbia University. He's really pushing several new causal algebras that let you answer the type of questions that traditional statistics cannot answer. So we're really focused on the intersection of data science and causal inference. Hence, both terms are in the name of the job descriptions. And I think it's letting us do a better job of addressing the real world measurement and the science needs.
Right. So you mentioned those 3 job openings, and each based on level of experience. So what are the essential skills of a successful data scientist?
So, one could go look at the internet and see all kinds of technical topics that the data scientists talk about and share and learn. But I like to take it a step up, a little bit higher altitude. And what I think a great data scientist is in our organization would be someone who's comfortable operating in an empowered team environment. We want them to be able to, on their own, help scope situational needs and requirements of our projects or our customers. We want folks to go beyond their own abilities, take advantage of their strengths, and know how to draw upon strengths of folks around them, and then we're all the better for it. We want folks to publish and publicize, talk about their work and accomplishments. And lastly, the point I thought was really important is I need folks that would really continually learn the leading edge practices in data science and with a strong emphasis on self-learning.
So you touched on this a little bit earlier, Bob. I think the next question I'm going to ask, when you talked about how you're at CMU and to see the experts that you're referencing are on campus and they're right down the street from you. So maybe this will play a part. Is what's your favorite part of working at the SEI and an FFRDC in particular, which is a federally funded research and development center? I'm personally, I've mentioned in the past, like work-life balance, career training that the SEI gives you are some of my favorite things. Stuff that I'm so thankful for. What about you?
So definitely work-life balance is a big deal. I appreciated that when I came to SEI. I wanted a little bit more work-life balance. I had my fill of 1 and 2 a.m. calls with Singapore to deal with problems on the cell phone assembly line. But I was really excited to be able to cross both the research and the practice domains. And I wasn't getting very much of that when I was at TI and Motorola. I got a little bit, but not a lot. I enjoy learning from other researchers, and also the SEI gives you a great vantage point to see a lot of corporations and what their best practices are. So I know I saw a lot working at Motorola University, but SEI has been tremendous on that aspect. The other thing is, being at the SEI and an FFRDC, we're really, by contract and by NDA, we're an honest broker to a lot of DoD entities and corporations. So they're more willing to work with us, share their data, and let us come in and work with them and roll up our sleeves and get to work. So there's less of a effort to make all that happen in the first place. So it's really increased collaboration opportunities that I really have not experienced in my industry career.
Great. Next question we've been asking folks, and not that AI and ML are new, but there seems to have just been an explosion recently talking about the terms. So how's it changed your career, AI and ML?
So AI and ML have really affected the second half of my career. The first half of my career was heavily influenced by design for Six Sigma training at Motorola and TI. At Motorola University, I led the worldwide rollout of Six Sigma and design for Six Sigma training. And so I learned a lot from the leading edge consultants. And that heavily influenced most of my career in quality and reliability. In the past 10 years at the SEI, AI and causal learning have really been transformational for me. I enjoy learning new things. My wife gets tired of me asking for new technical books for Christmas every year, but it's really let me continue learning, and I think I appreciate the topics of AI and causal learning because I think back about all the problems and challenges at TI Motorola I could have solved if I had the toolkit that we have today. So I'm very envious of the young folks coming into the field and all the technology that's in front of them. It's a pretty big deal. I think my first interest in Six Sigma and design for Six Sigma really was spurred when TI used experimental methods to get several weapon systems to field over in Iraq, in a matter of months when it normally would have taken years. So that was a real big eye opener. I just think there's so many real world problems we can now solve with these technologies.
So the SEI's job is to transition this research, and there's various ways to do that. So with the data scientists you're looking to hire, would they have opportunities to publish papers, reports, and presents at conferences? What conferences do you speak at, or suggestions you have there?
So with COVID, I haven't really spoken at a lot of conferences recently, but we have partnered with researchers in the architecture area at SEI. We've had a lot of our publications on our early causal work published and presented at ICSE. I'm involved with the IEEE reliability conferences like RAMS, and actually 2 years ago I couldn't go because of COVID, but I submitted a tutorial that showed how causal inference is really going to be the new frontier in the whole field of software reliability. So we actually encourage, involvement with, publications, webinars, podcasts, technical reports, and definitely professional society, participation. I'm a big believer in that. I've been my whole career, involved with ASQ and IEEE. I'm a fellow of the ASQ, and I'm very active right now in IEEE Reliability Society Leadership Committee. I'm trying to bring in causal inference and AI aspects to software reliability. So we very much stress professional development for our employees. We have goals each year of days of professional development, new tools that they learn. So I consider that's another benefit of this position is you're getting exposed and learning the topics that you're not going to get working in industry or even many of the DoD organizations.
Right, and that was going to lead me in my next question, which was, in the big picture for career growth, what's the potential for data scientists in SEMA Group and at the SEI? So, where can these potential candidates see themselves getting to if they're coming in, fresh from college or just a couple years of experience?
So our portfolio is growing over the past several years, and that's surprising given COVID and having to only have remote access to people. But I would say that our technologies and all the different quantitative techniques I mentioned earlier, they really sell themselves if you communicate the story and the impact. I recently just represented a 2017 research topic that started at Hill Air Force Base. And it looks like we're going to commence that this summer with a DoD funding agency and do some significant work there. We'll basically apply AI and causal learning to data streams and do multivariate outlier analysis and help them understand if there's emerging behavior in the test or the simulation arena that would really help them. I do envision that the folks we're hiring this year, and I anticipate hiring in the next several years, we're going to be growing the team. I want to get new blood into the team, younger folks who will rise and become leaders, because our team right now has a number of folks that probably are going to be retiring in the next 3 to 4 years, and we don't want a brain drain. So it's a great opportunity to get mentored by folks that have been here and a lot of our leading edge topics, and then to take leadership management positions down the road. So that, I think that's very exciting for career advancement. And, I'm a big believer in employees being fulfilled and growing at the pace they want in the areas they want. And, fundamental to my management training at TI, we're supposed to take care of employees, they'll take care of us. And so, at TI, I was even rewarded as a manager if I could place someone else somewhere else in the company, it was a growth opportunity for them. That was a good thing for me as a manager. So I practice that at SEI as well. So number one, we want fulfilled employees working their area of passion, and they'll do amazing things.
Right. I know the SEI always has a big push on continuing education and mentorship. That's something I've been thankful for just in my own career of just the professional development that we get to do each and every year. So how have you used some of the continuing education opportunities at CMU or through other training entities?
Basically, the early work we did with CMI High Maturity, when that ramped down and we started looking into other directions and ways to help the DoD, I was very happy to get management support to go off and take several weeks of training in supervised, unsupervised machine learning through a company out of France called Lab. And they have a tool that does one-stop shopping for machine learning, but also probabilistic modeling. And it can operate on objective and subjective data. So that was several great weeks of basic and advanced training with them, and then staying in touch and going to their workshops. I'd say in the past 8 to 9 years, myself and other team members have really taken advantage of a training source called Statistical Horizons out of Philadelphia with Drexel University. They have a lot of powerful offerings in the AI, causal learning, and statistical topics. They used to be like Friday, Saturday, Sunday fire hose classes. Now, because of COVID, you can get it all remote. So that's good and bad. But they've been a great source of training so that you're not gone from the job that long, but get plenty of indoctrination and new techniques, and then get the ability to go practice it.
Great. So, Bob, we're going to do some rapid fire questions, give people a chance to know you a little better that may be working with you. But before we do that, just a reminder, the SEI is looking to fill 3 data science positions. Those position descriptions are on the SEI website now. If you go to their careers tab, you'll see those 3 postings there. They will also be added to the LinkedIn description for this post here. Once we conclude today's stream, we'll add a link to those position descriptions. So if this is a job that interests you, we strongly recommend you apply. If it's not something for you, we do ask that you share with colleagues or interested your networks that may be interested in such a job. So let's do some rapid fire with Bob. So Bob, here we go. We're looking for quicker answers. It don't have to be too quick, with quick answers.
Okay.
Who were your career influencers?
Be Dr. Michael Harry from Motorola, considered one of the fathers of Six Sigma. And then most recently, the past 8 to 9 years, would be Dr. Judea Pearl, Dr. Barenbaum at Columbia University, and Dr. Felix Elward at University of Wisconsin-Madison.
Your favorite book?
It would have to be Dr. Pearl's book, The Book of Why, that was published about 3 years ago.
Great. When you knew you wanted a STEM career, approximate age, or when you knew you wanted a tech job?
I was an undergraduate finance and accounting student and was very bored. And so I took all the engineering math instead of business math and excelled at it. I think I got an A in every engineering math course I took, and I got very few A's in accounting. So I think I woke up to the fact where I needed to be. And I think once I was in the Army for a little bit and fell in love with software, I knew I wanted to be more technical and more software.
Excellent. Must listen to technology podcast.
So I actually don't listen to podcasts right now. I'm looking for some. I think there's at least one in the causal inference field, but I am a big follower of a data science group on LinkedIn. It's led by Vincent Granville. And I would tell you, I'm just impressed with the contributions by that community and what they post and the references and everything. I know it's invitation only, you have to apply, but that's a great group for me.
Your most significant accomplishment at the SEI? Chance to brag about your work here, Bob.
So I've been here 17 years now, and so there were probably a number of things on this list, but maybe just because of memory, the most recent activity I'm doing is what I'm most proud of, and I think accomplishing the greatest, and that is I'm leading in addition to being the SEMA initiative manager and leading some other research projects, I'm also leading the SEI technical team that supports the ground-based strategic deterrent program at Hill Air Force Base. That's a very long program, a lot of money, and even with us being remote over the past 2.5 years, I've achieved a 400% growth in our team. They value our expertise, and we're having impacts with both the government and the prime. So I'm real proud of that.
Terrific. Last thing for you, and this is an off-the-wall question. It's actually a post I saw on LinkedIn earlier this week, and a guy posted. The comment was, in the last 20 years, software swallowed the world. In the next 20 years, AI will swallow software. What do you think?
I think that's true. I mean, when you say AI, there's so much behind that term. And so, we try to be more specific about what aspect of AI, saying AI is almost like saying medical science. But I think the other thing I would add to that is I strongly believe in the testimony from Dr. Pearl and his proteges. And I really think over the next 10 years, modern causal inference is going to swallow AI. I think that Columbia University is doing great stuff with causal reinforcement learning. And I think Dr. Pearl is right on when he says AI is not going to approach general human intelligence until it incorporates causal learning methods.
Bob, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate you sharing your expertise and talking about these job openings.
All right. Thanks very much.
Everyone, that's going to wrap up this episode of Intersect. We thank you for your time. Again, we point you to the job postings, which will be added to the description of the video. And we ask that you do share this with your networks of people. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.